President Joe Biden's decision to form a strategic Indo-Pacific alliance with Australia and Britain to counter China is angering France and the European Union. They're feeling left out and seeing it as a return to the Trump era. France's foreign minister expressed total incomprehension at the recent move, which he called a stab in the back. And the EU's foreign policy chief complained that Europe had not been consulted.
Several hundred Iranian-American activists have signed a letter to President Joe Biden urging him to strike an aggressive tone against Iran's new president when the U.S. leader delivers his first address to the United Nations General Assembly next week. The group's goal has been aimed at urging the U.S. to continue a campaign of sanctions, in particular Mr. Raisi, who they have characterized as taking over a regime in its weakest position in decades.
Japan issued an alert on Friday after a volcano in the southwest of the country erupted, jettisoning large rocks hundreds of meters away from the crater, Kyodo news agency reported. There were no immediate reports of injuries after the eruption of Mount Otoki in Kigashima Prefecture, according to Kyodo.
The world's biggest trees were being wrapped in fireproof blankets in an effort to protect them from huge blazes tearing through the drought-stricken western United States. Millions of acres of California's forests have burned in this year's ferocious fire season.
Afghanistan is facing a major health crisis as the country saw a departure of several medical professionals after the Taliban takeover and is short on medicines due to the closure of borders with Pakistan and suspension of trade with India, said doctors in Kabul.
The foreign ministers of Russia, China, Pakistan and Iran held a meeting on the ongoing situation in Afghanistan and evolving security paradigm in the region, urging the Taliban to form an inclusive government in the country. During the meeting, they emphasized for collective efforts to counter threats to Afghanistan, especially the danger of the spread of terrorism and drugs trafficking.
Prime Minister Imran Khan on Friday urged the international community to recognize the reality in Afghanistan and said the war-torn country cannot be left on its own. The Prime Minister made these remarks at the 20th Shanghai Cooperation Organization Council of Heads of State Summit in Tajikistan's capital. He urges world to come forward to help Afghanistan and says SCO is an important platform for trade and connectivity.
National Database and Registration Authority chairperson explained that the recent controversy over the e-voting system and a letter written to the Election Commission of Pakistan could be a result of a misunderstanding. The ECP had taken strong notice of the tone adopted in a letter penned by the NADRA chairman to the electoral body.
The Pakistan Federal Union of Journalists has decided to hold a long march from Quetta to Islamabad in early November against the proposed Pakistan Media Development Authority bill. The decision was taken at FUJ's three-day Federal Executive Council meeting at the Lahore Press Club with President Shahzada Zulfikar in chair. It was meeting's second day.
Pakistan has reported 68 corona-related deaths in the last 24 hours, pushing the tally to 27,072. The country's positivity rate stands at 0.08%. The National Command and Operations Center's latest coronavirus report showed 2,928 new COVID-19 cases after 57,626 tests were taken.
The country's unemployment rate jumped from 5.8% in 2017-18 to 6.9% in 2018-19, the first year of Pakistan Tehreek-i-Insaf in power, according to the labor force survey published by the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics. In absolute terms, the number of people actively looking for jobs increased by 0.92 million to 4.71 million in FY19 from 3.79 million the previous year, as the number of the country's total workforce rose to 68.73 million from 65.5 million.
Pakistan Cricket Board Chairman Ramiz Raja Friday announced that those found responsible for the non-availability of the Decision Review System (DRS) during the Pakistan-New Zealand series will have to face the consequences. For details, the PCB's commercial department was responsible for signing the contract with the crew, but arrangements were not made in time, leaving the board red-faced.
3 Chinese astronauts have returned to Earth after completing the country's longest crewed space mission. They spent 90 days at the 10-module on China's space station. While in space, the 3 men completed various tasks including transmitting experiment data back to Earth and conducting hours-long spacewalks, according to China's Global Times. The successful mission is another demonstration of China's growing confidence and capability in the space domain.